Disney World. On the surface lies a bustling city of families, magic, and wonder.
But what happens when you journey into the deepest, darkest corners of the happiest place on Earth?
Thievery,
Frozen monsters,
and disappearing children.
This is Disney World's Unsolved Mysteries. Disney World has been around for over 50 years, which means legends and mysteries are everywhere.
Where did these legends begin?
Who knows the true answers?
Today, we've decided to reveal Disney World's biggest unsolved mysteries. For our first unsolved mystery of the day, the mysterious child on the Carousel of Progress. Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress is an attraction here in Tomorrowland in Magic Kingdom. It is one of the last couple of attractions to have a hand by Walt. He created this himself for the 1964 World's Fair. It's a beloved attraction among many, especially big Disney World fans, big Walt Disney fans. This is a classic for a lot of people. It is a longer show that you do sit inside, and the actual seating of the theater rotates, not the stage itself. So that's pretty cool, but there is a pretty big unsolved mystery here in the Carousel of Progress. Now, in the opening act of Disney World's Carousel of Progress here in Magic Kingdom, there's a scene where the mother is ironing. With her is a small girl with blonde pigtails on a spinning wheel. We know the family has a teenage daughter, her name is Patricia, and an adolescent son, his name is James. So naturally you'd assume that this is little sister, right? Well, there's one big problem with that. You never see her again. After that opening scene, she vanishes. She is no longer in the attraction. We don't know what happened, so we're about to go ride it right now to see if we can figure this one out.
One of the great things about Carousel of Progress is that it is almost always a walk-on attraction, which means we're not going to have to wait long to attempt to solve this unsolved mystery. Carousel of Progress also has one of the best songs in all of Disney World, one of the best theme songs, The Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow, written by the Sherman Brothers. And I know you know the Sherman Brothers because they wrote such classic songs as It's a Small World, many of the great songs in Mary Poppins, and so much more.
Welcome to Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress.
Well, that's right, folks. Now Sarah has time for other things
like canning and cleaning the oven.
Before we give our theories about what actually happened to this little girl, it is important to know that when this was being created for the 1964-65 World Fair, times were different then. You know, so they could have had a whole other reason for this small child to not be there. Carousel of Progress was originally built for a general, for GM, to basically as like a sponsorship for the 1964 World's Fair, to see how the different families would use their electronics throughout different generations. So I just want to preface that this could be a totally different scenario that they had in mind back in the day. But I'm curious, you said you had an epiphany.
Yes, I did just have an epiphany, writing it just then, because I was thinking about it.
Okay.
So let's talk about the facts. So in the very first scene, the little girl has blonde hair, and the older sister, Patricia, has brown hair.
I thought about that too.
Then the rest of the attraction, Patricia, the older girl, has blonde hair. So I don't think the little girl is missing. I think she's been there all along. What happened to the girl with the brown hair? I'm wondering, was it some sort of switcheroo situation?
Wow.
Because we call Patricia the girl with the brown hair, but then the rest of the ride, she's blonde hair, and they still call her Patty. So, what's up? I think that family is very suspicious. I don't know what they did with the other daughter. I don't know.
Okay, so are you ready to hear mine?
Yes.
My theory is that this little girl was murdered. Now hear me out. The first act, the first scene that you see, that is the family in its original form. Something happened to the little girl where she is no longer living. But now, that little girl has cursed this family to be immortal forever. So they're now forced to live throughout many different generations. And if you notice that in each scene, in each generation, the appliances are all alive. So I believe this little girl, after she was murdered, haunts this family through her appliances and has cursed the family to live forever. They're immortal, and now they have to go through I mean, listen, like even the very last line that Patricia, the daughter, said.
Anyone for pizza?
Who knows what's gonna happen? We have a whole nother century ahead of us because she knows they can never die because the little girl has cursed them to live on forever. Or she's just a neighbor's daughter helping out.
In reality, in all seriousness, we'll never know the reasoning behind this. You know, it could be just they had an idea and unfortunately maybe they didn't make budget and then the rest of the ride couldn't have as many animatronics. Who knows? We will never know.
So that makes Carousel of Progress, the missing girl in Carousel of Progress, an unsolved mystery. There we go. Now this leads us to our next unsolved mystery, the mystery of Buzzy. Where did Buzzy go? Over at Epcot, fans might remember the Wonders of Life Pavilion, back when you could experience the human body while riding the Body Wars attraction and learn everything about the human brain during a fun attraction called Cranium Command. Here's the thing though, when Disney World closed the Wonders of Life Pavilion in 2007, everything still sat there inside the pavilion for years, including the animatronics used on Cranium Command. If the idea of a whole abandoned pavilion, rides and all, isn't creepy enough, it gets weirder. Cranium Command was led by an animatronic named Buzzy that took you on adventures through a pre-teen's brain. Now, years after closing, mysterious word got out that not only was the Buzzy animatronic missing, he actually might have been stolen. Now, upon further research, the Orlando Sentinel originally reported that Buzzy's gloves had been stolen in 2018, but after that, reports started surfacing that his other clothes, then all of Buzzy, had been taken, and Disney confirmed all of this in 2019. So what happened to Buzzy?
NBA player Robin Lopez ended up buying Buzzy's headphones, jacket, and hat on eBay, not realizing that these things were stolen. Shortly after that, a former cast member was arrested for the theft of Disney property. He pleaded no contest to other thefts from the parks, but he was never charged with the theft of Buzzy. Pictures later popped up online of hydraulic fluid that supposedly came from Buzzy pooling in the spot where his animatronic had previously been located. A brief image of a stripped Buzzy-like head was posted, then pulled down from Twitter as well. To this day, it hasn't been confirmed where Buzzy is since his initial disappearance.
The fact that the clothes were actually on eBay is a very good sign that this story is true, that he was in fact stolen. However, I think it would have had to have been the perfect storm in order to be able to steal this actual animatronic, walk out of the Wonders of Life Pavilion, have no one see you, have no one check your truck or van or when you're leaving security, have none of your friends and family say anything about it. You would have had to bring in actual tools to get him out. It seems like there potentially could have been more help involved than just one person stealing an animatronic, which is why where did Buzzy go will remain an unsolved mystery. Our next unsolved mystery leads us to a land of swashbuckling, buried treasure, and battles of epic proportions. Of course, I'm referring to the unsolved mystery as George the Ghost on Pirates of the Caribbean. Welcome to Pirates of the Caribbean. You know, you kind of like have like almost a pirate, like a pirate damsel shirt on.
It's the shirt. It's the puffy shirt.
It's the puffy shirt.
No sleeves.
Yeah, I like it.
Whatever you call it.
Pirates of the Caribbean is a slow-moving dark ride where you find yourself forced into a battle between soldiers and pirates who are ransacking the town. Now, this is a Disney classic, obviously starting over in Disneyland, bringing it over to Disney World, one of our favorite attractions, just because of the nostalgia and the sheer, I guess, Disney of it all. But inside of Pirates of the Caribbean, not all is as it seems. Many say George was a wielder who worked on the attraction, and unfortunately, it's claimed that he met his untimely demise inside of Pirates of the Caribbean during construction. Now, as many ghosts do who meet their untimely demise, they apparently stay in their attraction to cause chaos. There is no documentation that anyone died when working on the attraction, so take all of this with a grain of salt. But some guests claim to have spotted George. while other cast members have said they experience issues with the attraction if they don't say hello and goodbye to George when they start the day and when they end the day. Now, if they ever forget to greet George at the beginning or the end of the day, they say phones will ring with no one on the other end, the ride will experience technical difficulties unexpectedly, and other issues arise. So let's ride this attraction to see if we can spot any clues that might solve this case of George the Ghost Pirate. So, Investigator Fry, what do you know about George the Ghost Pirate?
I know that he causes problems, and if you upset him, you're gonna regret it.
Now, as a former cast member yourself, have you ever talked to any other cast members who have told you specific stories?
Listen, what happens in the utilidors stays in the utilidors.
I will say I did talk to a cast member once who said I could totally tell this story, and apparently they believed to have seen George. We'll see it when we ride the ride. They believe to have seen George right when you first board. There's a little window where the tech booth is. There was no one. There should have been no one in that tech booth at the time, but there was a figure in that tech booth.
Scary.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Nope, those are people.
I know. When I first got here, I was like, there's two.
Now, Pirates of the Caribbean actually has kind of a long history with, I guess, ghoulish things, because they even believe that some of the bones used in that first scene are real human remains. Investigator Fry, true or false?
I'm gonna say false, because I don't want it to be true.
I do believe, back when this ride originated over in Disneyland, I do think there is a potential that real human remains were used because they could not find anything as realistic as the actual human remains, those bones. I think for health code reasons and violations, I do not believe they are used today, but I do know that they did get, at least they attempted to get real human remains from a university and all these different kinds of things to really replicate human bones. But is it used today? Probably not. However, no one can prove that, so it is still, it remains an unsolved, well, I'm sure the Imagineers could prove that.
Yes.
The people on the rides could probably prove that. But for us, for the purpose of the day, it is an unsolved mystery. Now when it comes to George, the apparitions in Mission Control, the phone lines ringing, the ride breaking down. What do you think? Is that an actual unsolved mystery? Do you think it is just what's happening?
I think, honestly, we'll never know.
Okay, do you Fry Boucher? Do you believe in ghosts?
Oh, yes.
You do.
Yes.
So you do not think in any realm of possibility that this is a coincidence, that the cast members and the engineers, they're looking for something to blame when things go down. You truly believe that we do not know, and that this could be an actual ghost.
I think it's fun to think about the idea of it possibly being a ghost. More than likely, maybe not. Maybe that's not super realistic, but I like the idea of George, and I want him to not haunt me. So George, I believe in you. I don't want to make you mad or upset. I love your ride. It's great. So please don't haunt me.
So we should probably say goodbye, George.
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Goodbye, George.
Not only is the Pirates of the Caribbean the only rumor haunted ride in Disney World, but our next one is called the Dummy of Terror. So it's been known to be said that the Tower of Terror is also haunted. The source of the haunts? That is Caesar the Dummy. He is the spooky ventriloquist dummy from the Twilight Zone who manipulated his hosts into committing crimes. And now he lives inside the basement of the Tower of Terror. So after you ride that attraction, when you come back down and then you turn to face the door, that's where you'll see Caesar. And he's kind of scary looking, I will be honest. Gives me the heebie-jeebies a little. Just like George, some cast members claim they also have to say hello and goodbye to Caesar, or else he causes issues with the ride.
Caesar has been known to create chaos, but on top of Caesar creating chaos, other people have seen this like ghost rider on the Tower of Terror through the security footage going up and down on the Tower of Terror. So I definitely think there could be some sort of thing happening within Tower of Terror.
I mean, it's haunted. Storyline. But it could also really be haunted.
Yeah, you're right. And honestly, if today's video doesn't teach you anything, it's teaching you that dolls are not to be trusted. Just dolls in general. You'll hear about another doll in a second. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
We've talked about ghosts, missing children, and even stolen animatronics. However, now we get to a scary portion of this episode where we talk about frozen monsters in an unsolved mystery we're calling the Frozen Yeti. Will the Yeti on Expedition Everest ever work? For those who have been on Expedition Everest, you'll know that the finale of the ride is a gigantic Yeti. The Yeti is an elaborate animatronic, but you might not know that because you've likely never actually seen it move. That's because Imagineers discovered early on that the Yeti's movements was putting stress on the rest of the attraction's frame. The Yeti was literally tearing apart the Forbidden Mountain. Believe it or not, the Yeti was actually built into the structure in such a way that to repair him would mean serious construction on the framework of the ride. When he would flail his arms at guests and try and grab the guests, it was actually putting stress on the ride itself, damaging it. As cool as it is to see a moving Yeti, it's even cooler to keep the roller coaster he's on in one working piece. So Disney improvised. Instead, the Yeti is operating in B mode, which means it doesn't move, but a strobe light gives the appearance of movement on the attraction. And this is why it has the nickname Disco Yeti. It would take the lengthy refurbishment that could include dismantling a large portion of Expedition Everest's structure. Former Imagineer Joe Rohde continued to explain that his team was working on fixing it well into 2018. However, Joe Rohde retired in early 2021 to work in space or something. So now no one knows for sure if Imagineers still have plans to figure it out. Only time will tell. But what will become of this Yeti or the attraction? Do you believe Expedition Everest will ever get the Yeti that once was? Will the Yeti ever be back in A mode? What's your theory?
My theory is no, because one, they would have to close down the ride for a long time. Not only that, it would be super, super expensive to do that, and they're just not going to put money into an attraction that is totally fine working in B mode. There's no way that they would ever shut it down because people ride that attraction all day, every day already. So why would they waste the time and money by shutting it down and fixing it when the people are satisfied right now?
If the Yeti swinging her arms was the attraction's key element, then I believe that they potentially would take the time. But just like you said, because the ride isn't missing much, I would love to see the Yeti move again, but because the ride is not missing much, I do not believe they are going to take the time and money to fix it. However, it does give me pause to know that they were working on it up until 2018, which leads me to believe there was a plan.
But I think it was Joe Rohde leading that plan. So he wanted to fix it because he loves that park, he loves that ride. But once he's gone, I don't think they're ever even going to think about it.
But there could be another Animal Kingdom Imagineer lover following Joe Rohde's footsteps. We do not know for sure, which is why the movement of Betty the Yeti will forever remain an unsolved mystery. There's another unsolved mystery that needs our attention. We call it a flooded party. Why are these people partying in a flooded saloon? Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is a coaster attraction where you hop into a train and you zoom through different canyons, mountaintops, and even some explosive caves. It is indeed the wildest ride in the wilderness. And at the time of filming is the only ride here in Frontierland, as Tiana's Bayou Adventure is still under construction and doesn't have any plans of opening until 2024. If you've seen the saloon scene on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, you may have noticed that the saloon is absolutely flooded. There is a man in a bathtub spinning around in the water, but there's a major party going on just upstairs. Are they unaware of the current danger of the flood happening just underneath them? Do they just not care? Or did they cause the flooding? Now, this isn't something we've ever seen an explanation for, so if you've got a theory, let us know in the comments. Maybe it's just the way of the Old West. People are just celebrating to celebrate something, even if it's the waters rising dangerously beneath them. I think ignorance is bliss.
Yes.
I think that's what the theory is. I think they are having such a great time partying. They are absolutely three sheets to the wind. They have been drinking around the world, and then some. And I think they're just having a good time, that they have no idea that this geyser exploded or something, and water is rising. They have no idea. They're just having a grand old time. What about you?
I do agree, and honestly, before really looking into this ride in depth like this, I don't really notice it when I'm riding most of the time, because I'm enjoying the wildest ride in the wilderness. So I think they're just having fun while we're also having fun. Clearly not as much fun as them. If we're not having that much fun, they're having more fun. But at the end of the day...
Are you not having fun, Fry?
I'm having so much fun.
How dare you?
I'm having so much fun. I'm just saying they are having more fun.
That's true. Although I do think it would be a really interesting plot point that they caused the flooding and they're wreaking havoc and they're like, get out of our way.
I do like that one. Yeah, I like that one a lot.
But we do not know the actual reason. Imagineers haven't told us the real reason. We even asked some of the cast members, and they kind of giggled at us.
Yep.
So, which means that the flooded party will remain an unsolved mystery.
Now, this next unsolved mystery is a very interesting one, and that is, what was the deal with Walt Disney and Kurt Russell? The young Kurt Russell and Walt Disney had a close relationship, and Walt seemed to love the actor so much that he put him in a lot of his movies. He would regularly chat with the young actor and picked his brain about projects. But that's not all, because there's a rumor that Walt Disney's last words were in fact Kurt Russell. And here's the thing, those rumors are kind of, sort of, almost true. Those were possibly Walt Disney's last written words. The words Kurt Russell were scribbled on a paper on Walt's desk and discovered following his death. It could have been written weeks prior or not, no one knows for sure. Russell himself later confirmed the story to the Huffington Post, although he admitted that he had no idea what it was in reference to. All we can do is guess. Was it for a movie role? Was Walt buying him a gift? We'll probably never know.
I think this is a really interesting unsolved mystery because, well, one, we do have proof that his name was written down somewhere, but I think the reason that his name was written down there, one, they were actually kind of close at the time. We know Walt Disney was a fan of Kurt Russell, so I do believe that I think Walt Disney was working on his next project, and it was like, I've got to call Kurt Russell, and I've got to pitch him this idea, and maybe he'll go for it. Unfortunately, we don't know what that idea was, and we'll never know what that idea was. But I think the next Walt Disney movie starring Kurt Russell was potentially in the making.
I agree with that. I think to an extent we'll never know. I wish there was one little more clue left on the piece of paper. We'll never know. I would like to think maybe Walt liked him so much that he knew that one day there would be a movie made about his life and he wanted Kurt Russell to play himself. That's
interesting.
My theory. But I don't know. I feel like that kind of might be a little true.
I think Kurt Russell's probably holding out on us. Let me give him a call.
Oh, cool. You know Kurt?
Hey, Kurt.
The Haunted Mansion is a classic Disney dark ride. It is an omni-mover attraction here in Liberty Square, where you go inside and you're touring a haunted mansion. But don't worry, the ghosts aren't scary. They are really friendly, and they just want you to come, have a good time, and don't worry, they do have room for one more. This is a very popular attraction. It's loved by many, so much so that there's actually a Haunted Mansion in every Disney park around the world, and each of them have a different storyline. So, what is this unsolved mystery? Who is the aging man in the portrait on Haunted Mansion? In the Haunted Mansion queue, guests will see a portrait of a man over the fireplace when they first enter the mansion. The portrait slowly ages from a young man to an old man. Many guests believe this is Master Gracey, but guess what? It's not. Because of guests being so adamant that this man is Master Gracey, it has become sort of semi-official as part of Haunted Mansion's backstory, and was even a plot point in the 2003 film based on the attraction starring Eddie Murphy. But no one really knows for sure. The portrait is simply called the Aging Man, or the Master of the House. When Haunted Mansion debuted, Disney never gave any clues as to his real identity. It's rumored that he is a representative of a picture of Dorian Gray from the novel of the same name by Oscar Wilde, a narcissistic man that never aged in real life while a portrait of him did. So who is he then? Let's ride it and find out.
And potentially here in the Haunted Mansion, we can probably solve some mysteries that we definitely know to be true. Both of us as former cast members, we can talk a lot about the fact that actual people used the Haunted Mansion to try and spread remains. You want to speak on it?
Yes. So, it is actually a real thing that people try to, lay their loved ones to rest here in the Haunted Mansion. That is very much not allowed. If it happens, they will completely shut down the ride and call out the hazmat team to completely clean the ride and suck up everything that was let out. So if you're trying to lay your loved one to rest, it will not happen here in the Haunted Mansion because they will, I'm so sorry, they will get sucked up and put in the trash. So
your loved one may not end up in the Haunted Mansion, they might end up in the inside of a vacuum cleaner.
yes.
Don't do it.
Now, because of all of the remains that keep being left here over the years, that's why cast members and guests believe that the Haunted Mansion is actually haunted because their souls were never fully laid to rest because they were dropped in the middle of an attraction here at Disney World. Now they actually roam Haunted Mansion and cause a little bit of chaos. Well, now that we've gotten an up close and personal look with all the haunts, the apparitions, the vibes, the feelings, what say you?
I don't know if this one is actually true or not. I do think a lot of the times Disney puts out a ride or an attraction and then the guests kind of add their own story to it, their own little twist, which I think is super fun. Sometimes Disney will adopt that, but sometimes they don't, and things just will remain unsolved mysteries, and it's fun for each guest because you can come up with your own unique story.
I agree. So funny. Out of all the things that could be haunted, isn't it funny that Haunted Mansion appears to be the one that's not haunted?
I know, very funny.
Yeah, but it's always the ones you don't expect. But the ones that you do expect, just like in the murder mystery episode we just did, Haunted Mansion is the red herring. We don't know for sure, but it remains an unsolved mystery.
Now, our final unsolved mystery of the day is a specific AllEars unsolved mystery. If you've watched any of our videos before, you know that we are heading to Liberty Square to talk about our friend Cynthia. So yes, we are talking about Cynthia. We have given her a name. We named her Cynthia. She is the creepy doll in the window of one of the buildings in Liberty Square. She literally just sits here all day. But we believe that she moves. So right as you enter Liberty Square, right next to Liberty Square Market, a little grab-and-go quick service location, you can find Cynthia here in the first little window, right here with these green doors, little box. This is Cynthia. Hello, Cynthia.
Hello, friends. Good to see you again.
How are you doing today?
Wonderful. I had brunch with Annabelle this morning. Haven't seen you in a while.
I know, it's been a minute. I have noticed that your arms are down today. And the last time I saw you, one of them was up.
I was just waving at everybody. Anybody else with you today?
Yeah, Sage is here too.
He dares come before me.
Hey, Cynthia. We don't talk that often.
Yes,
Probably for good reason.
because you fear me, mortal, and know one day I will destroy you.
Gosh, I literally panicked because I saw your reflection and I literally thought there was someone behind the curtain.
Ooh, creepy.
Creepy.
Okay, bye, Cynthia.
Now the real question is, what is the story behind Cynthia? Is Cynthia just a doll that an Imagineer put there for a specific reason? What kind of meaning does she have to Liberty Square? And does she move on her own because of air conditioning, the wind, someone tapping the windows, or is the cast member moving her, or is she a haunted doll? That's why this is an Unsolved Mystery.
If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe.
Now go watch where we solve a murder mystery right here in Disney World. Bye.